Everyone, it's Nicole, and I'm here with another layout that I got completed at that crop. This is number 14 out of 26, and it took me like an hour and 5 minutes. But the funny story is when I was editing the video, there was at least 15 minutes of footage that I was talking like I'm doing right now. And I can't seem to talk and scrap at the same time, which is weird because I do it all the time. I do the lives, I do the virtual crop, but obviously I needed some time to do a bit of chatting. So this page kit came together really nicely. I really like the pinks and like the raspberry color. I cut down a sheet of pattern paper that was kind of light pink with darker pink polka dots, about 3 by 12. And then I took two 4 by 4 pictures and I put them side by side. And this is of the ferry that we took in BC. And we went from there. And then that's when we went to Vancouver Island and stayed there for the day. What a long day that was. We got up at 2:30 in the morning because the ferry was leaving at 5:30. We needed to be there an hour ahead, so that meant 4:30 and we were an hour away. And we didn't want to cut it close because we didn't know, we've never been on the ferry, so we didn't know how it worked. And by the time we got there, we were in this long lineup anyway. And, we got on the ship on the ferry, no problem. And, the ferry took off at 5:30 in the morning. And you can just see like the sunset. It was just so much fun to be on that ferry. And the sun was coming up as we were pulling out of, the dock. So that was kind of fun. I tried to put a couple of some washi tape with this. And when I looked at it right now, I was like, I kind of like it. But that day I didn't. So I end up just ripping it off. I end up using that strip of hearts. And I'm going to put it not on the side like that, but at the bottom of the layout. Plus, it's going to give me somewhere to put my title. I'm going to end up using 3 circles, and that's where I'm going to do 3 embellishment clusters. Plus, I'm going to do an embellishment cluster with the photos, and I put a strip of journaling right underneath. Now, we have a few minutes, so I'm going to tell you a little story about this fairy because, oh my goodness, we laughed after the fact, but it wasn't so funny when it happened. So like I said, we were on the ferry at 5:30, so we didn't have time to have breakfast. Who wants to eat at 2:30? I mean, we had just gone to bed I think we went to bed at 10 to try to get a little bit of sleep before we left. So they had like a cafeteria on the ferry. So we went and we went at first, like before we took off, we were on the top of the ferry, and so we could see outside and all this stuff, and it was gorgeous. Then once we got going, we're like, hey, let's go have breakfast, and then we can come back because it was about an hour and a half ferry ride. So we're like, we're gonna have some time. So we went, we had breakfast, and we finished, and me, Dave, and Mason were like, you know what, they were still having their coffee, my mom and her husband. So we're like, we're going to go on the top deck and just kind of see, we wanted to see some whales, to be honest. We were hoping to be able to spot some whales. So we go up, and Mason had a ball cap on, and it was from his AAA team that he was on since he was 6. So from 6 to last year, right? So 3 years, 6, 7, and 8. So it's precious to him, And we open the door to go on the top deck, and it all of a sudden it is so windy. As soon as we open the door, the wind just catches his hat and sends it tumbling on the ferry. And it's open at the top, and it was gonna fall off the ferry, and that was it. Like, bye bye hat, right? So Dave starts running after the hat, and I could tell that the deck was wet. And I was like, careful, it's wet. Anyway, I just didn't finish saying that. Both his legs came off, came out of from under him, and he was holding a coffee. The coffee was everywhere. And I'm laughing now, but I was like, "Oh, are you okay?" And he's like, and he gets up, his glasses, it was so windy that the wind picked up his glasses and it was almost shoving them off the ferry. So I said, "Don't worry about your glasses. I'll go after them." And I'm kind of taking my time and crawling. At this point, he had recuperated, he had kind of picked up the hat or whatever. And so Mason didn't lose his hat. So we go and we leave, and of course he's in pain. So we go down just to the first floor in the front of the ship and we sit there. We weren't there 2 minutes, and all of a sudden there's a big announcement that comes over the intercom, and it says that the top deck is now closed because it's too windy. Well, let me tell you, we had such a laugh. And at this point, my mom doesn't know that we went there, this happened, and then, so anyway, they finally find us. And of course, Mason, Pappy had such a big fall. And then she looks at me, she goes, "Well, I heard them say that it was closed." I said, "Yeah, because of us." They're probably thinking, "Oh my goodness, like that was a bad fall. That could have been bad, right?" So anyway, that was the adventure on that ferry. And still to this day, we cannot talk about that ferry and not laugh. But like I always say to my kids, whenever something like that happens, as long as nobody got seriously hurt, then it's stories for later on, right? And I can tell you, we have quite a few stories to kind of tell for these 6 weeks of vacation that we had. And I'm hoping to have them all done in scrapbook form, if you know what I mean. So that is just one of the stories. And I don't even know if that's what I put in my journaling or not. Because when you're in the moment of these things, sometimes you don't always think of taking pictures, but you can always tell the story with different pictures. But that's it. That's going to complete this layout. And I just want to take a quick second and just thank all my patrons for all their support. And I hope you're having a fabulous week. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.